This article is titled, Factors Influencing Psychological Distress During a Disease Epidemic, Data from Australia's First Outbreak of Equine Influenza, and was authored by Gary Stevens, Kingsley Argo, Melanie Taylor, and Beverly Raphael.
Psychological distress, as determined by the Kessler-10 Psychological Distress Scale, was the main outcome measure. Extremely high levels of nonspecific psychological distress were reported by respondents in this study, with 34% reporting high psychological distress, compared to levels of around 12% in the Australian general population. Analysis, using backward stepwise binary logistic regression analysis, revealed that those living in high-risk infection zones and disease buffer zones were at much greater risk of high psychological distress than those living in uninfected, white zones. Although prevalence of high psychological distress was greater in infected EI zones and states, elevated levels of psychological distress were experienced in horse owners nationally. Statistical analysis indicated that certain groups were more vulnerable to high psychological distress, specifically younger people and those with lower levels of formal educational qualifications. Respondents whose principal source of income was from horse-related industry were more than twice as likely to have high psychological distress than those whose primary source of income was not linked to horse-related industry. This study is the first to collect psychological distress data from an affected population during such a disease outbreak, and has potential to inform those involved in assessing the potential psychological impacts of human infectious diseases, such as pandemic influenza.
We are article.tv. Links in the description below.